Hello and welcome back. So it's been a couple of weeks since my last video, and the reason why is that a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks and a lot has shifted. And so today I actually want to be quite vulnerable, and I'm going to share with you a section of a chapter, I should say, of my book that I'm writing to give you perspective on what I've noticed in the last week. But before I do that, I just want to share that I am still reading this book, Waking Up in the 5D, and I think it's really helping me to stay grounded and in my wholeness and in my sovereignty during this time, because Victoria is going through some diabolical, laws that could come into place that could really affect and even segregate more the community. And as I said to my husband this morning, I've never shown interest in politics, but this last 2 months, I am just so curious and more aware of what is out there if we don't start to shift our state of consciousness. Because if we keep allowing this external environment to heighten us, it starts to bring you down to a really low vibration of 3D. So I've realized I need to focus on myself. I need to focus on my well-being, because it's game on. Like literally it is game on. And yesterday there was some high winds and it was stormy and there was lightning, and I was thinking, wow, that's really reflecting what everyone's probably feeling energetically. And it was playing out. And then this morning, it was just like, as I drove down the street, I just thought, wow, these trees that have come down, power was taken out early morning, and you can just feel like the air, there is something manifesting, and probably collectively from all our energy and our worries and not knowing what is ahead of us. But this is what I really like, and this will then lead into the chapter that I'm going to read. So you name the outcome that you wish, and the universe will provide the solution. The universe has been created in such a way that it responds to the human. And the reason it responds to the human is because the human is carrying God DNA. God DNA is creator energy. So whether people realize it or not, they have the power to command that does not exist anywhere else. This is why so many other races in the cosmos seek to work with you, to interact with you, to observe you, and so on. And so knowing that you have the absolute authority to command is very, very powerful. When things go wrong or airy, or things happen that you find yourself uncomfortable and displeasing, to know that you can have that experience and then allow yourself to say that there's a solution here and I just have to discover it, or there is a solution here and I expect that I'll know the answer pretty quickly. This does not mean you do not take steps to protect yourself and so on, but at the same time we want you to understand that there is no need to suffer anymore. This is the end of suffering. And as you look at the coming year for opportunities, evolutionary shifts and transformation and more, one of the things that you can count on is the end of suffering. And I truly believe that in all of this, what's keeping me grounded is the daily Course in Miracles, the lessons. And today's one was lesson 212. I am not a body, I am free, for I am as still as Source created me. I have a function Source would have me fill. I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as Source created me. And, when you look at this metaphysical equation, forgiveness equals guiltlessness equals invulnerability. And it's a looped system, because invulnerability equals forgiveness equals guiltlessness. So this whole journey is definitely the ascension process. It's the spiritual awakening. It's the great reset that human mankind needed. And many of us that are doing the work, we're feeling it harder probably than the average person that just sort of goes along with life and is just thinking about the weather and what they're planning for the weekend and where they're going to shop tonight. But I think many of us light workers or the way showers that are trying to sort of pave the way to this spiritual evolution, we are deep thinkers. We are critical thinkers, and sometimes it can get the better of us. And I know for me, I've told you before that my back pain, especially my lower back, definitely is an emotional pain, because I hold on to resistance, or I hold on to this sense of control. And what I noticed is that things changed, okay? And it has gone, and I'm going to read why, okay? And I'm going to share with you something very magical. I had my first, and I'm going to call it spontaneous because it was spontaneous. I had my first spontaneous Kundalini experience. And you have to understand that I went to my lowest point. I had the death of the ego. Again, like how many times can I have the death of the ego? But this was worse than my mum's passing. Like I was really at my lowest point. I'm generally like a 9 out of a 10, like, you know, quite a happy-go-lucky person. But something shifted last weekend and I went really down deep into a 2 and a 3. Like just take me out. That's where I was. And then the Kundalini awakened and it was just, can't even explain it, but I've written it down, so I'm going to read it because I think it's a lot easier if I just read it and share with you why I'm happier even with what's happened. So 2 weeks after this transmission, so you remember 2 weeks ago I did a Kuan Yin transmission, sharing her message and what needed to be done. I started to feel summoned by my workplace to get vaccinated. Otherwise, I would need to resign. Now, I don't blame my workplace for this approach of coercion, as it really is above their control, and they could be faced with fines with having unvaccinated staff on site. So I finally surrendered. I actually surrendered to the no job predicament. And I actually stated out loud to myself, I'm just going to book this and get over and done with. And what I noticed is that the weight lifted off my shoulders. Something physically shifted in me when I said those words out loud and accepted my fate in this matrix game. But I also cried. But I gained composure, and I realized in that moment my soul was neutral and just wanted to be in flow with the present moment. However, my human body was creating the resistance and thus creating the emotional pain I was feeling in my lower back during the last fortnight. Those last 2 weeks of trying to uphold my sovereignty was my ego in disguise, creating a block in my body due to my own fear and beliefs around the vaccines on offer. I was not in alignment with my mind, body, and soul, as I was totally in split energy. All 3 epicenters were responding very different to the situation, and I was feeling torn from within. When the day arrived for the vaccination, I was actually very calm and in alignment to what I was doing. I noticed the administrator's middle name was Kwang, so with a Q-U-A-N-G, which made me smile as I thought of Kuan Yin in the male form. So I imagined he was Kuan Yin administering love and light through the needle as it penetrated my arm. And when he left the room, I sat quietly and meditated to reach the presence of the 8th dimension and recited light language to myself to activate quantum healing and protection from within. When he returned after 15 minutes, I felt at peace. I left feeling comfortable with my decision. It was later in the night I felt my body become very tired and slightly sore from within. I knew my body was activating its defense system towards the viral vector that had entered my body and was preparing spike proteins. The next day I felt feverish, lethargic, and aching all over. I just wanted to lay in bed and not interact with anyone. And when I told my children why I was not feeling well, they were very compassionate and gave me space to rest. I practiced meditation in bed, and after another crying session, I had a detox bath. And after this hot bath, I felt less achy, and I could feel the difference of the salts that were used to remove any unwanted toxins in my body. I actually feel chuffed that I went as far as I could with not getting vaccinated. In some ways, I know that this was my contracted path, to only go so far with resisting, as I work in an industry where I would need to be vaccinated to work on site and conduct off-site visitations and audits with suppliers and co-packers. Also, I was in the middle of building a new home and I needed a steady income and I didn't have a plan B. So on the positive side, I still get to live vicariously through my other friends who have chosen not to follow the mainstream. The biggest lesson I have learnt during this month is that I need to stay in love, joy, flow, peace, serenity, and surrendering to the present moment. I can see now the reason for my resistance had more to do with the ego than my inner being. The need to control this unforeseen situation, to say yes, to be vaccinated by a due date, to find the right one for me, was actually causing my emotional pain in my lower back. I was feeling out of control as time had sped up, and now I was left with this heavy decision that could cost me the livelihood to work in an industry and a company that I'd enjoyed for the last 19 years. I had a new mortgage to pay, and I still had at least another 15 years to keep working before I could retire. So this feeling of out of control forced me to move into a higher state of consciousness, to just surrender and trust in God's plan for me. And then I remembered, I am not the body, and therefore this separation was creating conflict within me. When I sat with myself and identified that it was the ego that was making my body hold the stress, the angst, and the tightness in my body, I allowed my higher self and my inner compass to take over. I then realized it was the ego Suzanne that was in the driver's seat. And I know that this is true now, as I noticed immediately, a few days later, my back pain just disappeared. The unraveling of my limiting beliefs and expectations led me to my atonement and salvation. And then the strangest thing happened over the weekend. As I was in recovery from the side effects of the vaccine, I had my first spontaneous Kundalini awakening. As I rebirthed into this physical form, I felt this awakening come through me when I was resting in the bed meditating. I was focusing on my breath, and I felt it deep in my sacral root chakra. I could feel it flutter from within. And then I noticed a vortex of energy spiraled and rippled through my root chakra and up my spine to my crown chakra, causing me to involuntarily shake with pleasure like I'd never experienced before. And it was the ultimate act of self-love and divine connection to God and the cosmic universe. Through the darkness came a new light for me to carry as I discovered what it truly meant to be sensual, in flow with love, expanded state of consciousness, and divine feminine. I was able to tap into my Kundalini just by quieting the mind and focusing on the breath deep in my root chakra. And then I could rhythmically vibrate my body and tap into source connection and feel the euphoria, the resounding peace, the insatiable bliss, eternal oneness, the nirvana, the surges of energy pulsating and rippling like a vortex up and down my spine. This new soul gift from God showed me that all was well in my world. I just had to play the game and not get so caught up with being so strategic, as there will be more obstacles in this lifetime, and my spirit crew are behind me all the way to help me continue to find joy, pleasure, and creativity in my life. The hardest lesson so far has offered me a miraculous offering, and this inner knowing that I had jumped to the next level of this dimension. Now all I had to do was continue to be the master and the student, continue to be curious and expansive, to let go and flow downstream rather than upstream. What I learned about the Kundalini awakening is that it is your soul that determines when it's released, and it can accelerate healing due to its atomic cosmic energy bursting from within. It is also part of the evolution of your consciousness and helps to expand your inner power and soul gifts. When I watched a video tutorial by Elizabeth April explaining how to manipulate my DNA and become the superhuman I needed to be in the Matrix, I realized what my upgraded mission was to use what I had learned to my advantage, to use my spiritual tools of Reiki, magnified healing, light codes, and now the Kundalini awakening to ground me, to keep me aligned and focused and on my optimum health and well-being, so that I could neutralize and transmute any virus or vaccine into a higher frequency and be free from harm, suffering, and dis-ease. Now was the time to step up and say, yes, I can do this. I've been training like a samurai warrior all these years prior, waiting for the moment to play out in this physical world. And now all I have to do is shift the gears of my mindset to move from a 3D fear consciousness to a 5D fearlessness love frequency, which is governed by pro-choice, pro-freedom, and all the positive possibilities. What I've also discovered about the Kundalini is that the God molecule known as DMT, dimethyltryptamine, is released as you reach the gateway of the soul through the opening of the pineal, pituitary, and thymus, which explains the release of the feeling of ecstasy, the feeling of love, and that body electricity that I experienced. I had the epiphany that I can choose to transmute any low vibration frequency and give gratitude to those projections that present me with negativity, so I can always practice neutrality, discernment, and compassion. Just because we are presented with negativity doesn't mean we need to be the victim to it. This is now what it means to step in your sovereignty, and as a collective community, appreciate that all these events continue to happen to wake us up so we can evolve with awareness. This dualistic and polarized reality is always going to be here on earth. However, we as the human being can choose how we respond and transmute it for our highest good, to take our power back, which is the highest level of enlightenment. We no longer need to be the victim of the virus, the vaccine, or fear, but instead we can use this opportunity to accept we signed up for this roller coaster ride on Earth School. So let's just buckle up, remember that death is the illusion, and enjoy the ride. As we go up and down the tracks of life journey, we can either choose the smooth, the bumpy, or the highest vibrational ride of a lifetime in this crazy and chaotic planet. That is the true connection to Source. You've got this, so just give yourself permission to walk steady through any storm. God would never throw anything at us if we weren't capable of handling it. And I truly believe the harder it feels, the greater the breakdown will be for us to experience the ultimate breakthrough. and evolutionary shift in this lifetime. The beauty of awakening my Kundalini means my higher self is waiting to rise up when I'm in the pure stillness. So each morning as I lay on my mat and let the divine goddess awaken for daily healing, divine connection to God and infinite enlightenment, I feel blessed and grateful to experience this intense energy burst as it clears my mind and helps me feel energized, blissful, joyful, and euphoric every day. Some affirmations to keep you grounded and aligned to Christ consciousness are: I want to feel free to choose how I govern the autonomy of my body. I want to be respected for my choices. I want to see people unite for oneness. I want to see people let go of judgment and unite for a commonality of the highest good. I want to be able to come back to work without fear that I will infect others. I want to be able to walk outdoors mask-free and indoors. I want to be able to see my family and friends, to hug them again. I want my children to learn how to listen to their inner being and speak their authentic truth. And I want to continue being a wisdom seeker and asking questions so I can have enough knowledge to make a wise choice for me. So that's it. It's out there and it is what it is. And I know that this is part of my contracted journey. And I'm actually feeling grateful that through the loss, I've actually gained tenfold, and I think when I think back, it's like, how did this happen? Because the soul decides when you're going to have this Kundalini awakening. I think I have obviously done things that have led up to this. I know that the belly button healing process was one of them. I will attach links of what I've been doing probably since August. I use this selenite wand and it's just pressing as I lay down. I press on my belly button and then you sort of angle it different ways. And you do it here as well on the sacral. And, that might be only for 2-3 minutes every morning before I do my Qigong. But I think that's activated it because there is this theory that it warms the belly, cools the mind. You have to look it up, but I'll send you the links. But it's a very powerful area. We don't do enough work on our sacral area and our solar plexus. It gets neglected. Mind you, we hold so much tension, when we're upset, tightness comes here. So I feel that this has definitely maybe influenced the Kundalini to awaken because it feels like the snake. It feels like a coil and it comes up you and it's like a vortex of energy. It just and my whole body will just involuntarily shake and it's really weird because if I do it now manually, it's not the same. But when I feel myself as the observer watching it, it's like this beautiful motion and it goes. And the fascinating thing about the Kundalini, it's an internal energy explosion, literally. Because what I've noticed with Reiki and magnifying healing, you are asking for light source, for universal light force energy to come through your crown, and it comes through you, and you might imagine it as white light or golden white light. But with the Kundalini, you can't ask for I want it to be awakened. It doesn't work that way. It's like my soul at my lowest point. When I asked my guides, give me something to help me through this, show me something that says you've got my back and give me another soul gift if I need it. It's that's what brought it on. I really do feel that was my lowest point and it took me to my highest point. And it feels different for everybody. And I'll send another link on the bottom of this video because ever since it's happened, I've started to research it because it was never in my vicinity. I haven't thought about the Kundalini, to be honest. Whereas I looked for magnified healing to do the course. I looked to do Reiki. Okay, but this I haven't. It's decided, you're ready now, Suzanne. Here you go. Here's another soul gift for you to add to your little bag of tricks. And so it feels like an intense, warm energy. It feels it's involuntary. Like, all I can tell you is that your muscles, and you start to shake, and it's like if you imagine yourself like a doll just laying on the ground, and like something's above you just pulling your strings like a puppet. It's like your body just moves without control, but it feels safe. But you can feel like it's like a vortex. It goes and it comes back down, but it starts here. It'll never start from the head. It starts in the lower root chakra, and it feels like a flutter. Like if you do your is it called Kegel exercises? I can't remember. Anyway, it's inside, and it starts to flutter and flutter, and you could probably just do deep breathing in your root chakra to see what I'm talking about, but it's sort of like you're breathing from inside, and then this energy, it's like a ball of energy, starts to just expand, and then it starts to ripple, like literally ripples all the way where it needs to go. And so sometimes my legs will be shaking, my feet, and then it'll move back into here and back into here, and then it just comes out through my head, like literally. And it might go for about 5 to 10 minutes. But because my ego is so now pushed aside, I am the observer of the body, and I've realized this is seriously a powerful metaphysical quantum thing happening. Like if you could bottle the energy, it's like an atomic bomb. It is freaking powerful. More powerful than Reiki, because Reiki, I can feel it's like a magnetic force. But this Kundalini, it's like you can't catch it, because it's like moving at its own pace. You have no control of it. So you're just observing it and allowing to do what it needs to do. And now I feel very blessed at this superpower gift that has just landed in my lap, because now it's like, okay, bring it on. What else have you got? And I'm just really open to this. And I really do feel that it's the accumulation of the Course in Miracles, accumulation of reading, doing the Kuan Yin, doing the light codes, doing the belly button healing. I think all these things have definitely influenced this moment, but it was last week when I had my lowest point, and I asked for help. And I think, like I said, God will give you everything that you can handle. And that was like the lifeline. Like it was like, when you throw it out into the ocean to bring that person out of the deep end, because I literally drowned. Like I was at my lowest point. My body was just like non-functioning, no energy. I literally died. Like the way I explain it, I died like Jesus. I died and I rebirthed on the third day I rose. But this Kundalini was what came with me when I rose. And now my back pain's gone. I'm actually more energetic. I'm feeling very feminine in flow. Music, I'm dancing. I've been playing my ukulele again, and I'm starting to feel very safe, very sure that I've got this ability now to transmute anything that's in me that is not of its highest good. I have the ability, and I know that it's just been exploded and broken, and I'm actually relying on my own superpower, my own superhuman, to transmute it and protect me. And so that's where I sit right now, and I feel so much happier. Like now that I've let go of the running and trying to dodge the bullet, I feel like the Neo in the Matrix. And so that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. I'm not really going to do any light codes. I just wanted to share the chapter. Might do light codes next week because it's already 29 minutes and I don't want to take up any more time. So this is just for me. I like to keep a journal of my journey, but anyone else that gets anything out of this from what I've shared, I hope that it helps you. But I really do believe that now you really got to work on yourself internally, because when you can work on yourself internally, and calibrate your mind and your body and your spirit and your emotions and your mental and your physicality, you will be able to handle this storm. I truly, truly, truly believe that. There's no way my Kundalini would have been activated if I haven't done all this work. I think it's contributed it, and then I think my soul's decided she's ready. You can go to the next level now. Because I really did feel like I was in the snakes and that I've just dropped all the way down the snake. But the snake just awakened and said, here we go, let's go back up the ladder, and you've gone a little bit extra, Suzanne. Here you go. Start from here now. And now I'm just thinking about sixth dimension. What does that mean? Well, that means that there's infinite possibilities. There's infinite parallel realities of how this could play out. And so that's what it is. You go to the 5D of love frequency, forgiveness, unconditional love, radical acceptance. But 6D, perhaps it's now realizing that you get to play this role how you want it to be. You become the Neo and decide on how you sit in this new reality and create your own version. No matter what the 3D is, it's all up in here. You control your own, you empower yourself with your own sovereignty. You empower yourself with your own wholeness, because no one can take that from you. Nobody can take your sovereignty, your wholeness, your awareness, your ability to discern. That's yours. And why? Because it's the formlessness. That is the key. We are so attached to the form. But I've realized I've got to let go of the attachment to the form to live my fullest, which is the extension of God consciousness, isn't it? Christ consciousness. Whew, very deep. Anyway, that's enough for me. I'm going to leave you with that, but I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling 10, probably above now, and I'm glad I got it off my chest. But I did shuffle my card. Oh, I've got to do one more. I did shuffle the Kuan Yin, and I pulled out this very unusual one. I've never pulled this card before. This is the Blossoms of the Sky Dancer. So I'm going to quickly read this, and then I'm done. Kuan Yin dances creative energy and light across the sky, causing blossoms to descend. In the same way, when we tap into our spiritual power of creation, we cause our life and all of life around us to bloom. Creation is the natural spiritual power within you, beloved. Force can slow down the process. It's time to stop striving and to allow your manifestation to occur. Trust, let go, and allow your creation to flow. Wow. Kuan Yin is a being of divine feminine power. She dances with the sky, the heavenly powers of inspiration, and as a result, life blooms around her. Kuan Yin brings you guidance that you are creating something important right now, something that is aligned with heavenly forces and light, that is significant for the path of spiritual awakening on this planet. Whether you are fully conscious of it, it is happening. Your spiritual light is flowing into the physical plane with the intention to manifest certain life situation and circumstances. These manifestations are in accordance with the spiritual path, and Kuan Yin will support you in their manifestation with her sky dance, which calls the divine light of inspiration and support into the earthly creation so that we can experience the divine in form here on earth. The way of the sky dancer, Kuan Yin, is the yin way, or the way of divine magnetism. Yin power is the consciousness and beingness that allows us to draw into our lives that which we desire. We become attractive to it: wealth, well-being, peace, passion, purpose, friendship, support, success, and so on. Rather than going out and striving for it as though we do not have it within us already, we can grow in our ability to simply be and become simultaneously until we experience it physically in our lives. It's only a matter of time until it happens. To cultivate yin power, to allow creation to manifest in your physical reality, you can focus more on allowing, flowing, surrendering, and participating in the greatest flow, rather than the usual ways in the Western world of doing, making things happen, forcing, intending, and holding. Kuan Yin guides you now to balance doing with being. Beingness is presence, it is appreciation, it is a joyful stillness and wonder, and it's the realization within you that is a spiritual magnet. And whatever you want to attract, you can, simply by cultivating the qualities you seek to experience externally within you. She guides you to the sky dance with her now, to become receptive to heavenly energies and to allow the manifestation to blossom like flowers falling from her divine feet. And the prayer is, beloved Kuan Yin, sky dancer, blossoming with creation, I am one with the power of the divine feminine. I am one with peace and creation that will manifest. I am love, I am surrendering, I am yin, I am blessed, and I let go to receive, I let go to flow. Peace in my heart now fertilizes my creation to grow. Om Mani Padme Hum. And that's it. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Go in flow, surrender, be blessed, and be open to receive. There is more spiritual gifts that are ready for us. When we ask, we shall receive. And with that, I send you love and light and blessings to you over this long weekend. Goodbye. Namaste.